dogs ordered?
Corey, I was gonna say, I can bring a
It's gonna be
cornhole.
pricier this year, you know.
That
I bet.
Thank you.
I think
That'd be
that,
awesome.
I ordered hot dogs, buns, hamburgers, and beans, and then you said you'd pick up the water.
Yeah, I think Fastenal's gonna donate the water for us.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
I was gonna talk to Mary Ellen, sometimes a hospital will do it. but-
Okay, we're ready to go.
I don't know if we want
heard your
hospital
name, didn't
food
ya?
though, do we? All right, if we could stand for the pledge.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. We'll start off if there's any public comment. No public comment. We'll go right into the meeting agenda.
Mr. Chair, the initial agenda that went out didn't include the recognition of the Farm Family of the Year. We have that on the online version now, but we want to make sure we include that in the motion today. Second is that we need to have a closed session pursuant to statute 13D05 subdivision 3B for attorney-client privilege.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Mr. Chair, I will move the agenda with the amendments.
Move made by Schmidt,
I'll second that.
second by Johnson. Any further questions? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on, Farm Family of the Year. Emily and Karen. A wounded Karen, it looks like.
Doesn't look like Winton was able to make it this morning. I've been checking my phone, but if you were at the county fair, oh, there we go. Nice picture there. Awesome. So Winton and Christine Nelson, Crow River Farms LLC is our Meeker County Farm Family of the Year. And as you know, the University of Minnesota Farm Family Recognition Program honors farm families from throughout Minnesota for their significant contributions to the agriculture industry and their local communities. The program has honored Minnesota farmers since 1979 and is coordinated by the University of Minnesota Extension, the College of Food, Agriculture, and Natural Resource Sciences, and the College of Veterinary Medicine. Winton and his family were recognized this year also at Farm Fest along with the county fair. And the farm families are chosen, one per county across the state of Minnesota, by the University of Minnesota Extension committees based on their demonstrated commitment to the communities and to enhancing and supporting agriculture. So Crow River Farms LLC was purchased in 1976 by Winton and Christine Nelson. A year later, an irrigation system was installed. In 1980, the family built a 4,000 head farrow to finish hog operation, which operated for 10 years. Currently, Crow River Farms is a diversified cash grain farm producing corn for ethanol, food grains, soybeans for export, and organic crops that include alfalfa and fresh market sweet corn for stands in Litchfield and Dassel. Winton and Christine, Winton is in the plaid blue shirt there, and then Christine, his wife, has the little bandana scarf on. They are the owner-operators of the farm, and their daughter Stephanie, and she's in the blue shirt, and her husband Darren Hansen, and the couple's daughter Sarah Nelson, on the far left, are partners in the operation, and Stephanie and Darren's son Derek, who's in the red t-shirt, and his girlfriend Lizzie Coivisto are also partners.
Here they are.
We got some people coming in.
There we go. Perfect. Hi,
I bet they did.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I parked some east of Grove City on Highway 12.
Come on up here.
We're just saying nice things about you.
Yeah. See how good you look in your photo.
Yep.
Here.
Sit here.
So the Nelson family are members of First Lutheran Church in Litchfield, the Meeker County Corn Growers Association, and the Heartland Ethanol Plant. Winton was also a 15-year vocational ag instructor at Litchfield High School, and they are the Crow River Farms and the 2024 Meeker County Farm Family of the Year. Have any words you'd like to say to the community?
Well, first of all, we want to thank you for the honor, and I think it's really so important, and I hope that we can do more of this. We need to recognize the independent businessmen around Meeker County and so on, because it helps us talk to them when we see them in the store or in the street. And, that's not only farmers, but also businessmen and so forth. I wish we could do that in the local paper, you know, a businessman of the month or something like that, a farmer of the month. So we appreciate that. Can I introduce you to my family? They can't be here this morning because they're all working. Going from right to left, my grandson, Derek Hansen, daughter of my oldest daughters, Stephanie and Darren, who live on one of the farms, is starting to farm with me. And that's his serious girlfriend in front of him, Lizzie Knitzko. And
Does he know it's serious? Just for clarification. Sorry.
actually, I think when she starts, right now she's doing student teaching in Ripley Elementary.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I think when she gets hired, he might. Next to them is my son-in-law, Darren Hansen, who's a teacher and head of the science department in Big Lake. And so he has a little bit of a commute. My daughter Stephanie, my oldest daughter, is the dean of students at Ripley, and you know that's a fancy name for the disciplinarian. My wife Christine, originally from Wisconsin and Atwater, where I came from. I came from Atwater, graduated there, attended the University of Minnesota, got a degree in agronomy and soils and ag education, and taught ag, as you mentioned. My youngest daughter, Sarah, is the accountant for the farm, and she has an MBA, by the way, and so she keeps the books and so on and so forth, and lives in Coquito. Oh, that's the whole bunch.
All right.
Questions for them or comments?
I would just say that whenever you're the girlfriend of a farmer, it's always serious, Danny.
Yeah. Especially when they make the family picture, because it's kind of hard to crop her out later on. Yeah.
I'd like to say you were born in Atwater, right?
Yes.
But you moved to Meeker County.
Yeah.
So that was the best move you made.
Interestingly enough, if you want to know more about my background, yes, my mother and father farmed southwest of Atwater. And I graduated from Atwater High School in a class of 42 students. My mother grew up in Litchfield, see, so I have relatives here. And as a matter of fact, her great-grandfather was the sheriff of Meeker County during Prohibition time.
Oh.
And he's got some stories.
Out around Forest City, which were in my farm management class, or their sons were with the older farmers out there, told me that when Mike Konchak, the sheriff of Meeker County, took his horse and buggy out there during Prohibition so he could smell the stills, you know, and he'd break them up. They told me they were all running by the time he got back to town. But that was value-added agriculture, right?
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much
you
for
very
coming
much,
in.
both of
and-
you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the Nelson family. It's nice to recognize farmers, like you said, because usually we don't like to be recognized anyway, and we're too busy. But, so,
Well, you know, one of the wonderful things about a rural community, and all communities, whether it's a small community in a big city or not, we need to know each other so we can talk to each other. And I did do, when I was teaching adult farm management here, by twisting Stan Rose's arm a little bit, I got a farmer of the month that Stan said, if you take the pictures of the family and write a story, I'll put it in the paper. But he did for about a year, and we had wonderful feedback from it, because they said, gee, I didn't know so-and-so has a degree in dairy science and attended the University of Minnesota, or I didn't know that somebody else went to college out in South Dakota or vocational school or whatever. And they would have something to, when they met them on the street or in a grocery store, they'd have something to talk about. You know, and I think that's wonderful, and I wish we would be more of it, that's all.
Thank you.
You sell your produce by the Speedway station? Yeah, okay.
Not too successfully this year.
It's been
because
about 4 years.
Good year.
Yeah, we're a diversified crop farm.
Yep.
We used to raise a lot of hogs, but consolidation moved those south closer to the processing plants.
Okay.
So there's not many hogs raised in Meeker County anymore.
No.
Oh, well, there's not.
Congratulations.
Take a picture with the county commissioners?
Yeah, we'd like to.
Okay, you can have your banner up too.
Well, I brought that in case, because I didn't have family, I thought.
But we'll take a picture if you guys wanna just come around the front here.
Does that work with the light behind us? Otherwise,
Maybe you all wanna line up on the wall over there.
yeah, that,
Yeah.
no, I know it's bright.
Just go stand in front of, over here. Thanks.
There we go. Let's do it right
So
here.
just stand right,
In front?
yep, right in front. And then Emily can come over here. There you go.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right. Moving on, we'll move right into the consent agenda. Andrew,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have approval of the August 20th board meeting minutes. Approval of the Health and Human Services County and Hospital accounts payable. Approval of a grant agreement with the Office of Justice Programs for the Crime Victim Advocacy Services. Approval of an agreement with Triman Systems, Inc. and MinCCC. Approval of a contract with Vera McKinnon for inpatient hospital services. Approval of the 2024 semi-independent living skills contract with Bridges to Success. Approval of an agreement with Climate Makers for the replacement of AHU number 2, air handler unit number 2, and a separate agreement for the replacement of air handler unit number 4. And that's the consent agenda.
okay,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
move made by Oberg, looking for a second.
I will second that.
Second by Johnson. Any questions?
Just one quick question. I saw some charges for Ramsey for MAP. Is that part of the opioid? Do we use opioid money for that, or is that?
I'd have to dig into that to see what account numbers that came out of. I can find out for you.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because I know we have all that money and.
Yep.
Want to make sure that's where it was.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Thank you.
Good question.
I had a question too there, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Brianna, on the crime victim grant, is that roughly the same amount or
Yeah, it's the same amount
not
as
higher?
It's the same amount as they provided last year, so 70,000, and then we were granted a percentage increase, so an extra like $10,000.
Okay, I was just wondering if it was up or down from last year, so overall up.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, any other questions on the consent agenda? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mary Ellen, hospital matters.
Morning.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry, I know where you were going with that in your mind.
Yeah, I know. That's scary.
And quickly, you have in your packet the financial performance of the hospital so far this year through June. You'll see we've got a nice margin. I am warning you that the last couple of months with the loss of our orthopedic services, it's nice to have this cushion. We're still doing very well, and we expect to see improvement this coming month. Next week, the orthopedic surgeons from St. Cloud Orthopedics begin. And so we're really excited to have them. Building on that, we recently had a board meeting, and it's not in the minutes because it just happened, the approval for a Mako robot, which is the latest technology used for orthopedic procedures. And with the addition, and now there are 3 orthopedic surgeons coming to use that robot. Will be a great addition to this community and capabilities in the hospital. So we're very excited about that. Staff are being trained on it right now, and we're lining up, getting ready to schedule patients. So we're very pleased with that. I wanted to also report that the golf tournament, some of you participated. I want to say thank you so much for your participation. It ends up that it was the best attended, and we made the most money we've ever made in that charitable event. And with the proceeds, over $40,000, we're going to be able to construct a triage room and a safe room in our emergency department to better care for patients with mental health issues when they arrive and need to be taken care of if we can't transfer them to a higher level of care right away. So we're really pleased with that as well. We have Dr. Leif Olson starting next month. He's a family physician, so that'll be a great addition to the community. Several leadership changes. I wanted to make sure you're aware that the next time we come, I'll be bringing Tyler Ulseth. He is going to be our new Chief Financial Officer, replacing Nicole. And we also have a new Foundation Director who's just started. We have a new HR leader, and then finally we have a new Chief Nursing Officer, Angie Deitel, who is from this community, and just wonderful to have her back. I think I'll stop there. There's many, many other things happening, but I don't want to take up too much more of your time unless you have any questions.
So the ortho, are we booked for some appointments when they start?
We're getting started right now.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I know we weren't sure how long out it was. That's good news.
On behalf of Andrew and myself, I thought that was very nice the way you said you had participants in a golf tournament, because I don't know if you'd call what we did golfing or not.
I mean, technically it was.
Okay.
Usually Paul blames that on me, just so you
I
know.
am well aware.
A lot of different ways we could go there, but we'll leave that alone. Any other questions for Mary Ellen?
Quiet is good.
Quiet is always good.
No, in many ways, yes.
And in your line of work, it's good, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mary Ellen.
Thanks, Mary Ellen.
All right, next up, Phil.
Good morning.
Morning, Phil.
Bill Schmaltz, 2 items for
Morning.
your consideration this morning. First one is to consider the approval to purchase 2 plow trucks with snow and ice equipment. So a summary of the information was in your board packet. We run 16 trucks right now. We had scheduled 1 for replacement in 2025, and then we had 1 motor grader scheduled for replacement in 25. We adjusted that and are swapping 1 motor grader for a plow truck to help increase the service on our pavement. Our plow trucks service paved roads, our motor graders surface gravel roads, and we're getting slowly more pavement from townships as they pave more roads. So it fits our system better. What you see in the packet is similar to what we've seen in the past, where state contract pricing for next year has not yet been negotiated, but the order window actually opened last night. So it's in our best interest to get in line sooner rather than later. We currently have Max and Western Stars. Mac is still experiencing some backlog issues. We couldn't really get a date for when they might be able to deliver. Western Star can deliver first part of 2025 if we get our order in properly. So the pricing you see is based on what we had in 2024 and anticipating an increase for 2025. And that's why you also see a not to exceed number in the purchase, the summary, or the proposed motion. You'll see the proposed budget for 2025, we had $710,000 budgeted, so I was actually expecting a bigger increase in equipment than what we're expecting in this motion with the not to exceed. One adjustment to the proposed motion, the model year changed on the trucks that we're looking to order. I have 2025 in the motion in your document, it's actually 2026 model year trucks.
Okay.
Have we always had a fleet of 16 for quite a while? Is that,
Yes, it's slowly been increasing over the years. Years ago, we had very few trucks. It was mostly blades, and we've
Blades.
been trending this direction over time.
and that's because more stuff is paved instead of,
Yep, more pavement, and we're trying to increase the level of service on our paved routes. I'd say more than we are on our gravel routes.
so I had somebody ask me this, so I'll ask you, on an average snow, when you have to go out, how long does it take for you to do all the miles? How many miles do we do again?
It's almost 1,000
Okay,
miles.
and that takes how long?
If we are fully staffed, everybody, the conditions are good, we're moving, I'd say about 6 hours.
Okay, I thought, I said around 8, I thought, but I was
In-
guessing, which I shouldn't have been doing.
In the bad ones where the wind is blowing and whatnot, we've had storms where we don't cover every mile in a 12 or
So it
13
depends
hour.
on conditions and.
Yeah, conditions are a huge impact, or a big player in that.
So when you say 6 hours, Phil, is that just to get them all open,
Open.
or then you go back and?
Hit the lanes, then we gotta hit the, hit the shoulders and wing things out, and typically in the meantime, they're blowing shut again and it's still snowing, but
Okay.
And do you have a full crew of drivers now?
we're fully staffed with full-time, part-time. We haven't gotten any new part-timers this year, so I think we'll be okay with routes. A lot of the new staff, full-timers are new, so there's gonna be a lot of training this winter. Ed and Troy are gonna be pretty busy trying to guide folks.
Good. And one more question, then
Sure.
I'll leave it. So do you think prices are leveled off now? Because I know we've been,
For equipment,
yeah. Or you don't want to say a bit?
in my crystal ball, I'd say the increases might be less moving forward, but I think every year we'll expect to see higher prices.
Okay, very good, thank you.
One more question.
Sure.
And this is just satisfying curiosity. When you put someone out to do a route and they're new, do they have a GPS that's,
Yeah, we have that.
okay,
Yep, we have an AVL system, a
Put that in.
automated vehicle location system, so it's actually painting a map as they route. So we can monitor how they're doing in the office, and then when they're brand new, they might have somebody in the seat with them
okay.
or being shadowed by a pickup.
Yeah, I knew you could monitor them, but I was just wondering, okay, you got a new driver out there, now am I supposed to go right on this one or left on this one?
Yep. We
That's
can
it.
monitor them, but they're not accessing that app while they're driving, so they need to rely on the paper maps they're provided to cover their route. They'll get guidance if they stray too far.
Okay.
So when you get a phone call that says you didn't do my road, you can look back and say, yes, we did.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
we put that on a few years ago, didn't
Yep.
Oh, you never get those at all, do you?
Oh.
It's been very valuable for that,
Yeah,
if nothing else, just
absolutely.
to see what we did when we did it. Sometimes we've missed roads before. Sometimes, yeah, we hit it 2 hours ago, but
It's already closed back up.
it's
yeah.
closed up again.
I think that was a good investment. Mr. Chair, I move to approve purchase of two 2025 Western Star 47 plow trucks from Boyer Truck of Lauderdale for a not to exceed price of $330,000 and snow and ice body equipment from Towmaster of Litchfield, not to exceed a price of $370,000.
And those are actually 2026s.
Oh, okay, 2026,
the change.
sorry.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any further questions for Phil and the trucks? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay,
Second item for consideration is approval and final acceptance of our 2024 annual pavement marking contract. So this was the smaller of the two pavement marking contracts we had this year. If you would remember, way back when in spring, we awarded a federal highway safety improvement program pavement marking project. This is our state aid funded pavement marking project to fill in the gaps of things that aren't eligible for that federal safety money. So, smaller number. Camco, they're out of Dassel, did a good job. I recommend approval of the contract.
Mr. Chair, move for final acceptance and payment for the 2024 Meeker County Annual Pavement Marking Contract.
all right, motion made by Paul,
I'll second.
second by Beth. Any further discussions?
One quick question, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
You're getting less and less people to bid on these, aren't you?
Pavement marking's been tough, cause there's a contractor called Sirlines a lot, and they absorbed two of the other pavement marking contractors in the state. And Camco just arrived on the scene last year, so they've been helpful, that at least now we have two. I would hope we can get more.
Isn't that a monopoly and there's rules about that or no?
I have no idea.
Not anymore, there's not.
I don't think it's a
Kidding,
Oh, huh?
I don't think it's a monopoly when everybody else is quitting.
kidding.
Yeah.
There are other providers, they're out of state.
Yeah, isn't that an attorney setting up the laws?
All right. Let's see.
You have a motion.
I have a motion on, yeah, I was gonna say, yep. Looking, all those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks.
Thank you, Phil.
So, Mr. Chair, we're a little ahead of where I thought we would be at this point, so I would suggest we do reports. The attorney who's gonna work with us in closed session is not yet here.
All right.
So we'll do reports and then we'll circle back to closed session.
All right, sounds good. Steve, do you wanna start us
Oh.
off today?
I suppose I can.
You're not ready, are you, Steve?
Not really.
Mr. Chair, if you would like, I could give my report.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. I can kind of
Saved by the
look
bell.
at my notes here.
So, one of the things that we've been working with the department head team on now for several months is developing a cultural plan for how the team works together. The idea is the plan discusses how we work together, what we're doing well, and what we're gonna do if that relationship fail. So rather than allowing things to really kind of fall apart, what are the things that we can do to ensure that it never gets to that point? One of the things that, you know, I was looking at when we were starting to do this is it's going well. And the time to talk about how to address issues is not when things are not going well, but when things are going well. So that was one of the main goals that we had. A big part of that is ensuring consistent and quality communication. So one of the things that we're doing to implement the plan is we're moving from monthly department head meetings to twice a month department head meetings. It's gonna be the day after our board meetings. And it's gonna allow us to address issues on a more regular basis and build cohesiveness of the team. Kirsten Langerman and Tina Schenk out of our Health and Human Services Department helped facilitate this process, and they did a wonderful job as we did that. So I want to give them a little bit of a shout out. Part of that also was, you know, a lot of the discussion that we were having there, and some things that I've seen here is there was, as we've done certain things, right? We've moved to having a consent agenda. We're not bringing new hires on the agendas anymore. It's provided less face time for some department heads in front of all of you. I think that there's an opportunity for us all to talk a little bit more about things that departments are doing that are not, you know, specifically about an ask that's in front of us right now. So starting at our next meeting, we're gonna do annual updates from every department. Typically, this is gonna be on the second meeting of each month. They're gonna be 15 to 20 minutes long. And it's gonna be an opportunity for those departments to share with you and the public metrics, successes, trends, upcoming challenges. The exception to that, you know, monthly basis is gonna be HHS because of the complexity of what they do and the size of what they do. We're gonna split them up into 6 15 to 20-minute bites so that you don't have to listen for 2 hours on one topic out of what they're doing.
So, excuse me, but we're gonna do one topic a meeting.
One topic a meeting.
We're not gonna have everybody here for,
No, nope.
because you would've probably lost me somewhere.
Exactly. Well, which is why we want to keep it to that 15 to 20 minutes, right? It's an opportunity for them to share what they're seeing, what they're doing, and for you to ask questions. So our next meeting is gonna be the first one we do that at, and that's gonna be the Parks Department. It's gonna be giving the first update.
What?
Parks. And then, I have a schedule that I'll send out to all of you
Cool.
after the meeting today. And then as a reminder, our employee picnic is next Tuesday, September 10th, from 11:30 to 1:30. And then after that, I'll be at the AMC Fall Policy Conference Wednesday afternoon through Friday, but always, of course, available.
So I'll talk to you about the logistics, but is somebody coming to pick the stuff up Tuesday morning? Or
Yes.
Just let me know what time.
We'll talk logistics and we'll figure it out.
We're all registered for fall policy, are we not?
I believe you all are, yes.
Those of you who are going.
Those of you who asked me to, yes.
They're
I
out of
still
room?
have to get
Is
your
aren't they out of room? or
pre-auth sent.
If they
Paul,
run out of room, then you gotta
But-
drive
For the credit card, but otherwise, everybody's taking.
it's like 5 miles, cause you're,
That's a slow 5.
yeah, it's the
Always
other
stop
side
at
of town.
I think last year I had to stay at my daughter's because I didn't have enough hotel. It's at Arrowwood.
It's at Arrowwood.
Too bad for the son-in-law, huh?
Yeah. Oh, sure. He loves me.
You were there last year, weren't you?
I drove back and forth from Carrie's house.
Yeah.
And then, kind of along that same vein, AMC sent out the registration information on the annual conference this morning. So if that's something you're interested in doing, please let Corey know and we'll get it
That's in
registered.
December.
That's in December. I think it's 9th through the 11th, but that might be,
And it's back in Bloomington.
yes, it's in Bloomington. It's December 8th through the 11th. So
Yep.
that one books up quick, the hotel. So if it's something you're interested in doing, please let us know quick. So, okay, that concludes my report.
No, we lost our car at the other one, wasn't it?
You
We-
lost your car?
You couldn't find yours either.
Scary stuff. Don't say that in public.
Andrew, you
people.
want me to do it?
All right. Any other questions for Andrew on his report?
Nope.
All right. Steven?
All right, looks like, on the 22nd, 23rd of August, I had AMC, the Strategic and Budget Planning meeting, and, the budget, that was something that was talked about at length. I think it is gonna cost us a little bit more. One of the proposals that was on the table was for $5,000 from each county annually, and one of the reasoning is they, local government aid, which the cities apply for, and the amount of money that they put in to their program versus is directly relative to the amount of money they get back out. And so county program aid, which we get, is lagging in that department. So the proposal, and this was from Bill Stearns from up northwest, Wadena County. He said if we put more in, we're gonna get more out. It's directly reflective in the numbers, but we did not adopt that, obviously, because Meeker could absorb that and probably justify a return on investment pretty quickly. But when you get out to Traverse County with 3,800 people in the entire county, I mean, those numbers, so they're looking at a formulation to how that would work across all counties, because it's,
Station or something?
you got commissioners that represent 250,000 people in the cities, per district, so just looking at how to structure that, more on a per capita basis, or how to come up with a formula. I shouldn't even say per capita, but, another, thing they figured out in our strategic piece was that the way they go about, calculating, some of it, they were spending more money on the formula. Their financial advisor came to them and said, we're spending more time and effort trying to work through some of the formulas that were in place from years ago, and them things that was in place for 25 years and nobody asked the question. And finally somebody asked the question, why are we doing it this way? Wouldn't it be easier if we just cut some of these corners and eliminate? So they're looking at streamlining some of that budgeting process too, and they felt they'd get pretty fast return on investment there. So there might be some savings involved with that. So those two pieces are kind of moving pieces, but I think long and short of it, I think our dues will go up at some point. I mean, between 0 and 5,000 is the number I'll give you now, but I think there's a return on it too in the long term. So that was kind of AMC in a nutshell. Then I attended a Zoom, a NACO, I'm on Rural Affairs and Ag Committee on NACO, and I finally was able to take one of them in, and a couple things that they talked about. And there are two things, really. It was the bird influenza, the bird flu, and kind of that correlation between the bird flu and dairy yet is still, and not so much in Minnesota right now, but in other parts of the country is still a very, it's still very active. So they're working on that. They're trying hard to keep it contained and basically taking precautions as cleaning equipment, tools, trailers, and PPE for workers. And then the other topic that was talked about is the water shortages mainly in the western part of the United States, and just how significant that is, and kind of makes you realize how blessed we are around here to have plentiful water. So those are the two big things on that. Grove City Care, had that meeting they made about $1,500 on their, over the Windmill Days celebration that weekend. So they were pleased with that. And other than that, AMC next week, and we continue with some union negotiations here Thursday, Friday, I believe, so. That about does it. And our work session was on budget, which we were all here, so.
All right, thanks,
Not
Steve.
all of us.
Not all of us. I won't emphasize that, not all of us. All right, moving on. Paul?
Oh, goodness. Well, after our last meeting, we had a MAP meeting, which is Meeker Area Partners in Prevention. Scavenger hunt's coming to an end for this year. I think it ends on the 13th.
I think so.
13th. And then several of the cards have been turned in already, so, fair amount of participation has been turned in already. I guess there's no way to know until the 13th when we actually participate in the scavenger hunt, but.
We should have asked Brianna while she was here to give us an update.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
We had a UCAP meeting last week, and all of their homeless shelter homes have now been approved for Wilmer. That's where they're gonna go. They have bought a piece of land, and this planning and zoning there approved it for the zoning change so that they can have these houses. The houses are built, they got away from prevailing wage by having these houses pre-built. They're shipped there and dropped on the slabs.
Really?
So, because they're built in a factory,
Yeah.
get around
Yep.
that prevailing wage. So,
Somehow.
but I did learn something, and I haven't gotten all the answers to this yet, because it just struck me that night, because they were talking about some of the homes that they build, they sell them on a contract for deed. And that kind of floored me, because I thought, contract for deed, I didn't realize we were financing houses now from that standpoint. So I asked, how many contracts do you have? 21. And I'm thinking, wow, that must have been a program that came out at some point in time. It's a lower interest, it makes it affordable, and they have the ability to buy these homes. So
What's the average cost of one of the homes?
that's one of the questions that I fired an email off to, because I want to know too, is, well,
How much money?
how many does that 21 represent? How much dollars? It was interesting to find out that in the various ways that we help folks get into their homes, and sometimes it's starter homes, sometimes it's just upgrades, but this is one of the ways that they finance it, so. CPT meeting, really, that was an exec meeting. We didn't have any real business other than what we talked about in the work session on the Spunk contract, which is a state contract, and then I bumped into Ron from Yellow Medicine, Ron Antony, and they just signed a 3-year contract. Yellow Medicine did for their Spunk, so it seems to be.
Why wasn't at the work session, so what is Spunk?
It's mandated by
the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. It's a cybersecurity tool that basically monitors what's going on in your network and provides reports, and then you need to respond to those things. So it's one of the things
Everyone has to have that.
that we're gonna have to do.
We gotta have something. You remember when we had the shutdown because of CrowdStrike? Spunk is somewhat along that line, only.
It's not. It's different.
Well, it's not.
It's different, but yeah.
Is it something new?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily new. It's new to counties across the state.
What kind of cost does that come with?
I think that, if I remember right, the server cost was like $19,000. But then there's the issue is
Maintenance?
the time that's necessary to monitor all.
Oh, wow.
So that's something we're working at CPT also, to see if we can somehow be a host, create a new revenue stream and host this product for the counties that are there, so. It would save the counties money, yes, it would be a revenue stream for us, but it should save it money.
Okay, thank you.
Then I went to St. Cloud last Thursday for the land use training. I really found that interesting. they had three attorneys who presented it. And they talked about, the 60-day rule, which I've been on the planning commission, I wasn't aware of the 60-day rule, where if we haven't acted properly upon something, it's considered an automatic approval. So those little time, now you can get extensions, and they defined how to get extensions. They talked a lot about conditional use permits and interim use permits, at Board of Adjustments. One of the sessions was on, public hearings, and that was interesting. Then we had, the one guy got up to talk about cannabis, and I think, that was probably the one that was the least appealing, because he just didn't give us any information that Andrew hasn't already provided us about some of the framework that we can use to get into it. And then I met him out in the hall, and I asked him a question, because I wanted to know, we have Eden Valley, who is split down the middle, basically, half Stearns, half Meeker. Now, had they gone to Stearns and said, we'd like you to be the one who takes care of our permitting, half of Meeker, or a portion of Meeker that it resides within Eden Valley would be subject to their planning and zoning, if they created it for them. So if they come to us, then half of Stearns would be following the rules that we have.
The one thing about Eden Valley is the city hall is in Meeker County. So I'm not sure how that works, but that does affect kind of who your control county is or whatever, is where
Where it is.
which side of the line city hall falls on.
But when I asked this guy this question, this attorney, he said, yeah, that's a good question.
Didn't have an answer.
But it is a problem. I mean, from public safety to everything we do is multi-county.
Yep.
That's why we can't have the contract with the sheriff, because deputies, they cannot go into Stearns County unless they're called in to assist. And vice versa, Stearns can't come into Meeker unless they're called in to assist. They can't be the lead.
Right.
So,
That's
yeah,
just,
it's interesting.
that whole road and the separation there really does create some interesting.
It's not the only, where I grew up in New Prague was the same thing.
I mean,
Highway 19 was county line, right down the middle of the city.
yeah, I was talking to someone that sat at the table with me, and he says, if we got that in four of our towns, was in our county. It's, half the town is one, half the town is the other, but I didn't realize it's where the town hall sat.
That makes a difference, it's not a perfect solution, but
The old timers will talk about when you couldn't buy liquor in Meeker, but you could go to Eden Valley over there,
Yep,
wherever,
Stearns.
and buy a bottle and come back, so.
they built bars right across the
Yeah.
line.
You talk to the old timers, they used to, if they wanted the courthouse to be in their town, they would go steal all the records.
Oh, really?
Now they were,
That's one way to do it.
but that's all I have.
I thought of something when I was talking about that clarification on strategic planning for AMC. They ran the numbers the way they currently are, the way they run the budget and for our dues. And then they ran them the way they would like to do them. And it made a $50 difference to Meeker County. And the highs and lows, the most savings was, I think, $360. It was $700 top to bottom across 87 counties. So they're like, it's costing us like all the staff time to do the budget the way it was versus if we do
So are they raising, so the amount they're raising it is how much?
they don't know yet.
They don't
I
know
mean,
the
there was a
total.
proposal for 5,000, which
Per
that's
county,
gonna be,
5,000 per county.
yes.
So is that for administration or just the cost of doing business?
It was
on
to basically have more, staff, number one, is getting recruited by the state. So they're
Okay.
losing out on
A
staff.
lot of people are.
And so the state's becoming our biggest competitor. And then also, they could hire more staff to get more dollars
Okay.
legislatively. Cause that's where they're seeing, that's how LGA tends to, get more than us.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
More to come on that.
Elizabeth?
So I didn't have much. I had a exec board for CHB. We went over the personnel policy. Mostly, a lot of it was just updating drug and alcohol policies, changing some verbiage. We had a discussion about administrative costs have gone up. They're finding that last grant that they're gonna be able to charge more off of the administration costs to this, the new grant I got, I guess, so supposedly that's gonna be helpful. Their new ship coordinator starts September 10th. They advertised for that for a while, and they had some, this was kinda interesting. They had a couple good possibilities, and when they went to get their first choice, I believe it was, they were told that she had changed her mind, and when they went back and asked, they said the process was taking too long. So I thought about a lot of places that when we try to fill things, I don't know how long our process takes, but that might be, because it kinda dawned on me, I thought, I bet people need to know where they're at, right?
Our process has expedited significantly over the past few years.
I never thought of it
The-
making a difference.
The big change that allowed us to really speed things up was
Yes.
was moving the hiring approval to
So-
administrative.
So we're talking about some ways to change that, so. Otherwise, that is all I have.
Beth, the ship coordinator, that takes care of them, but like, we have our own ship person.
Yeah, so
The
that,
county does. Several counties have got them, but
Right.
this person,
and works for all three counties.
okay.
I forget the name of the last one we had, I knew her well too.
Our ship person,
Art Ship.
Pam Bagley.
Pam Bagley before it was ours. Who's doing it now?
Chakuma.
Chakuma, that's right, duh. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Beth. As Steve alluded to, we had negotiations, like a couple days of those, so that took up a lot of time there, and then I think we have more to come this week.
We certainly do.
Yep, and then the work session. So at this point, we should close shop for a
I have
second.
one question.
Yep, go ahead, Beth.
Can you just update us on where we are in the move, like watching the building courthouse, and it seems like it's taken forever.
Yeah, the construction of the new entrance has taken longer because the wrong steel was delivered.
Okay.
And so it was the wrong size, so they had to get new steel. So that has delayed that by about 5 weeks. We're hopefully about 2 months away from that part of it being done.
Okay.
The work back in the annex continues to progress. Things are getting framed inside of there, so things are starting to look like they're taking shape. Late October is still the timeline that they're shooting to be done with that space.
Okay.
We're discussing now, coordination for the work to begin on level 4 of the courthouse, where the new attorney's office is gonna go. The hope of that is to get going later this month, if not early in October. So that continues to progress too.
And one other question, I look at some of these, like climate makers and different things. For some reason, I thought this was part of, and did we make a decision at the time to do this as we go, or what,
Yeah.
as usual, what did I miss, I guess is what I missed.
So the HVAC equipment that's being replaced as part of the project are things that had to be done because of the work with the project.
Okay,
So there's some HVAC equipment that's being done over at the courthouse, and that's because of reconfiguration of space.
so
you know.
were we aware of that?
We were aware of that when we were doing that.
Okay.
But we also talked about how that project wasn't going to accomplish everything in both of the buildings. Once we replace these 2 air handler units that we approved today, that will be the major equipment in this building. The one thing that still is left over is the control systems. You know, it's still a pneumatic control system. Joel and I have talked about, you know, what's the best way to go about replacing that to a digital control system. At one point, we discussed having each unit be kind of transitioned individually, but we decided that to ensure we have one system for the entire building and it all works together, that we're gonna do a larger project after this equipment's replaced. So that's from an HVAC perspective, those are kind of the big things that are still here. There's some other stuff that's going on at the courthouse that's smaller, and we have that when we talk about the budget.
and the final piece will be at the courthouse, right? Will be when the county attorney goes up.
So the county attorney will go upstairs, and then once the folks who are on level 3 move out after the November election, they'll start doing work on that main level of the courthouse for the new dispatch center, the jail program room, the jail administration offices. Once that is complete and dispatch is able to move down, then the last piece is the relatively minor renovation work that's gonna occur on the second level of the law enforcement center.
I see they're working on the parking lot, which we need. So when they move dispatch, how's that gonna work? Is dispatch gonna be down for,
It'll be down for a short period of time. It will be transitioned over to Candido High County.
Okay.
We'll provide that service while we're doing that.
every time I go to the bank, I look at that elevator, I'm like, they never get done over there. What is going on? I mean, I didn't realize, I guess, what a big project it was, so.
Yeah, that should start to get enclosed here, in the next couple of weeks. And, the roof will go on, and then it'll all be interior work at that point.
So sending the wrong steel wasn't on us, that was on.
That was a manufacturer error.
Thank you.
And it might be a nice time just to say how the budget is coming along with
Yeah.
that, because I think you discussed that at the work session, but it'd be kind of valuable.
Overall, as we look at how we budgeted for the project, the last of the cost is gonna come in next year's budget, right? As we look at where we're at with our contingency, we had about $650,000 in contingency. We anticipated using about 2/3 of that in this building, and that's about where we're at. And the reason for that is because we knew that there was a lot of unknowns in this old construction. We didn't have great plans for it, and we discovered a lot of those unknowns as we went through it. One example was, we knew that we had asbestos that had been sealed under the flooring when they came through and did the renovation back in '96. When we started pulling that flooring up, the asbestos tiles started to come too, so we had to abate all of that asbestos. And with that, there was some other additional flooring work that had to occur. There's a lot of things that were like that we just came across. On the Health and Human Services side, where we wanted to put the family room, they dug in to find the footings to put, to connect in the new support walls, and the footings ended up not being there because that's just not where they were. So we had to move things around and shift, and that added some costs. So overall, it's going well. We're still in a good position. I'm not concerned about the project budget. Contegrity's not concerned about the project budget. And, we're gonna keep at it until we get it wrapped up in hopefully about 9 or 10 months here.
I thought it was a good piece of
Thank you.
information, because it
Appreciate
was,
that.
when it's a $13+ million thing, you're always worried about going over. And
Absolutely.
right now, we're in line, at least.
That's good
Okay.
news.
Paul, you had a question?
Any updates on any of the things that we've looked at for adding additional parking?
No update yet. The last update that I had was that, that property owner was waiting until some other work was occurring. So,
I just was curious because that work is getting close to being completed, so.
yeah.
How many are we gonna be able to get in this parking lot out
I
there?
think that space in the back, I think it's a 15-space lot. So it doesn't cover every employee who's gonna be
Doesn't
back in the
seem like
annex,
they
but
could get
it's
15.
the vast majority that are in.
And so that should wrap up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it should be just in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
They were expecting about a month to 6 weeks for construction, so, and they started last week.
We're not having to put a fence up on the Tupper.
We are putting a fence up.
We are.
Mm-hmm. Yep, on the sides that have the houses. Yep, we're putting a screening fence up.
Okay.
Good.
Do we need a motion to close?
We do need a motion to close. We need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 13 DO5 subdivision 3B.
Mr. Chair, I will make that motion.
Motion made by Steve, looking for a second.
I will second it.
Second by Paul. Any further discussion? All those in favor of closing?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right.
We're gonna go in 201.